As the dropship pierced the dark, radiation-scarred belt of the ether expanse, the team sat in silence. Not from fear, they'd moved past that long ago, but from the weight of what this mission meant. For every life lost. For every city turned to rubble. For every human who dared to fight back. Commander Nyla Voss checked her blade. An old Earth relic, carbon steel, matte black, worn smooth at the hilt. No tech. No tricks. Just sharp metal and rage. Saren Holt sat cross-legged, eyes closed, internal data running like a silent storm behind his eyelids. His voice, layered with synthetic undertones, broke the silence. Probability of success, 4.7%. Margin of survival, 0.9%. Dr. Zian Rowe looked up from his portable bioscanner. Those are good odds for a suicide run. Marshal Kane chuckled dryly, chewing a stim stick. Hell, those are great odds. Ghost didn't speak. He never did. He just stared, not at them, but through them, into a place no one else could see. The ship shuddered as it passed into the Zarian sensor blind zone, cloaked in stolen enemy tech. Time was short. The moment they broke cover, every alien system would light up like a beacon. There would be no second approach. Nyla leaned forward, eyes meeting each of them. I'm not gonna lie to you, she said. This is the end of the line. We breach their core, plant the phantom seed, and hold that position until the signal completes. No backups. No cavalry. Just us. Kane smirked. Just how I like it. Zian nodded. Let's make it count. The ship AI, Archon, chimed in, final approach in 60 seconds. All operatives to deployment harnesses. May your deaths be legendary. The doors slid open. What lay ahead wasn't a hangar or landing bay. It was organic, tendrils of flesh-like metal curling around void space. The Zarian citadel was alive, pulsing with violet light, like the heart of some ancient, slumbering god. The ship dove straight into the maw. Inside, gravity twisted. Reality bent. The team deployed on foot, magnetic boots locking to the warped interior structure. The air shimmered with spores. Ghost took point, moving like a phantom through the flesh-tech corridors. Suddenly, a scream tore through the comms. Not human. The walls peeled open. Zarian sentries, tall, insectoid creatures with crystal talons and bioplasma rifles, emerged in a coordinated wave. They moved like a single mind. Nyla shouted, "Contact!" Saren launched an EMP pulse from his chest plate, disrupting the hive link for a second. Just enough. Kane opened fire with twin pulse pistols, tearing down 2 drones before rolling behind cover. Dr. Zian, unarmed, slammed his biopack to the wall. A shockwave of spores erupted, his own creation, rewriting the chemical signature in the air. The Zarians hesitated, confused. Nyla took her moment. She leapt, blade slicing through alien necks in a blur of motion. The team pressed forward, every meter gained soaked in sweat, blood, and fire. They reached the core chamber, an immense, pulsating sphere suspended in anti-gravity, held by living tendrils. It throbbed like a heart. The phantom device had to be implanted here. Dr. Mercer's voice came through the comms. Place it at the neural anchor. You'll only have one shot. Once activated, it will rewrite the core's hive signal, infecting their network from within. Nyla placed the device. It hissed as it locked into the tendril. Then. Silence. The chamber trembled. The walls screamed. They'd been detected. A massive Zarian warden, 15 feet tall, covered in obsidian armor and crowned with writhing energy spikes, descended from the ceiling. It roared. Ghost stepped forward. His body began to glow faintly. His skin cracked, revealing something, not entirely human underneath. He turned to Nyla, his voice quiet for the first and last time. "I'll hold it. You finish this." She hesitated. "Go." She ran. The rest followed, racing through the collapsing corridors as Ghost unleashed everything the Zerions had put inside him. Flames. Energy. Pure destruction. The signal pulsed. The Phantom Protocol was live. Earth's last hope was no longer a plan. It was an infection inside the enemy's own mind. A whisper from humanity, saying, "We are not extinct. We are the storm." The silence that followed Ghost's ultimate sacrifice hung heavy in the air, almost suffocating. For what felt like an eternity, the battlefield froze, caught between the weight of loss and the fragile hope that now flickered in the hearts of the remaining soldiers. Around them, the shattered remains of war machines and smoldering craters painted a grim portrait of the fierce battle that had just unfolded. Yet, amid the smoke and ruin, a faint tremor began to pulse beneath their feet. Far on the horizon, an ominous rumble grew louder, reverberating through the scorched landscape. Zerion's neural defense network, the complex system that had maintained control over the fortress, began to falter. Flickers of electrical surges danced erratically across the giant fortress walls, and the intricate web of alien technology that once seemed impenetrable started to unravel. The impossible had happened, humanity's strike had pierced the very heart of the alien bastion. Nyla, standing poised at the edge of the dropship ramp, swallowed the weight of what lay ahead. Her eyes locked onto the Vault Prime Fortress, a gargantuan behemoth of dark, pulsing metal and glowing energy cores that hummed with raw power. Around the fortress swarmed lethal war beasts and mechanized sentinels, relentless guardians that seemed almost invincible. Her team moved in perfect, silent synchronization, their shadows merging with the ruins scattered across the terrain. Every footstep was calculated, every breath measured. There was no room for error, not with the fate of humanity hanging in the balance. "This is our moment," Nyla whispered, voice calm but burning with determination. "The backup systems are the fortress's lifeline. If we cripple them, we cripple their entire defense. We end this nightmare once and for all." Back inside the fortress, Commander Thalcor's eyes blazed with fury. He gripped the control console so tightly that his knuckles whitened. The humans' daring assault had wounded his pride and his stronghold, but surrender was not an option. Drawing from deep within the ancient vaults beneath the fortress, he summoned forth the war beasts, ancient, colossal creatures encased in armor tougher than steel, eyes glowing with a feral rage born from millennia of war. The storm was coming, and it would not be stopped. Suddenly, chaos erupted. The air was shredded by laser fire, the earth trembling under the thunderous roars of the war beasts. Nyla and her squad wove through the hellfire, dodging razor-sharp claws and searing energy blasts. Every step they took toward the fortress core was a roll of the dice, a gamble against death itself. In the midst of the turmoil, Nyla found herself locked in a deadly dance with a war beast twice her size. Its massive jaws snapped shut mere inches from her, the air snapping with raw power. Heart pounding, she summoned every ounce of strength, plunging her blade deep into the beast's neck. With a deafening crash, the creature collapsed, sending shockwaves through the ground beneath her. But victory was a fleeting illusion. Just as hope began to bloom, a violent pulse surged through the fortress. Zerion's backup systems roared back to life, sending a seismic shockwave that threw the human squad off balance. Thalcor's voice rang out like a death knell over the comms, icy and commanding, "Release the Guardians." From concealed chambers deep within the fortress, towering mech guards emerged, colossal automatons, their sleek armor gleaming with deadly precision, their mechanical limbs bristling with weapons. They moved with terrifying speed and calculated efficiency, cutting off the humans' advance. Nyla's team quickly regrouped, breath ragged but resolve steel-hard. This was no longer a simple battle for survival. This was the war for humanity's legacy, one that would echo across the stars long after the dust settled. Her communicator crackled with urgency, extraction point compromised. We need immediate evacuation. The fortress is collapsing. As they sprinted back toward the dropship, the fortress behind them began to crumble, energy cores exploding, metal groaning under unseen forces. The thunderous echoes of the storm chased them relentlessly, a chilling reminder that the fight was far from over, and that even greater challenges lay ahead. The silence that followed the battle was more deafening than any explosion. Outside the dropship's reinforced viewport, the devastated landscape of Vernia lay stretched beneath a sky roiling with unnatural fury. Thunder growled like a beast awakening from slumber, and jagged forks of lightning illuminated the ruins in stark, fleeting flashes. Nyla stood motionless, her jaw clenched, eyes locked on the flickering holographic map hovering mid-air. Each pulse of light marked hostile zones still under Zalari control, the deadly grip tightening like a noose around what remained of their home. Ghost's sacrifice gave us a precious window, Nyla began, her voice low and filled with steely resolve, but Thalcor's forces are regrouping. He's ruthless, and relentless. He'll pursue us into the darkest corners of the galaxy if we let him. Dr. Elias Monroe, the brilliant scientist and strategist, moved closer. His fingers traced the turbulent storm patterns displayed alongside the map. This storm, Elias said, tapping a jagged bolt of lightning, is no natural phenomenon. Zarian's technology is embedded deep within Vernia's core. They're weaponizing the planet itself, turning its atmosphere and magnetic fields into a living, breathing weapon against us. Nyla's eyes narrowed. Using the environment against its own people. Typical Zalari cruelty. The hum of the dropship's engines was suddenly drowned by a piercing alarm. The main screen flickered, and a mysterious figure appeared. Cloaked in shadows, their face concealed by an iridescent mask that shimmered with alien circuitry, the figure's presence commanded immediate attention. "This is Kalen of the Coma," the stranger announced, voice modulated and authoritative. "We have observed your resistance with great interest. The Zalari Dominion threatens not just Vernia, but every free world in the sector. We offer our alliance." Nyla exchanged glances with her crew. The Coma were legends whispered about in hushed tones, elusive warriors and scientists from the Outer Rim, masters of stealth and advanced technology. An alliance with them could be the game-changer they desperately needed. "Why come to our aid now?" Nyla demanded, suspicion sharp in her tone. "Because," Kalen replied, voice steady and grave, "if Vernia falls, the storm will consume the entire quadrant. The Zalari's reach will become unstoppable. Their dark ambitions will swallow star systems whole. No one is beyond their grasp." As the transmission ended, the dropship was jolted violently. Outside, the storm raged with renewed vigor, lightning now crackling like chains breaking free, thunder roaring like a cosmic war drum. Nyla turned to her team, her expression fierce. "We have no time to waste. We set course for Coma space. It's the only hope left." The crew scrambled, checking weapons, prepping the ship, bracing for the unknown. Each knew that beyond this storm was a war that would test their limits, their courage, their humanity, and their very will to survive. As the dropship lifted off, piercing through the electric storm, Nyla's thoughts drifted briefly to Ghost, the fallen warrior who had bought them time with his life. "This is far from over," she whispered. "And we will fight, until the stars themselves remember our legacy." The dropship tore through the roiling storm clouds of Vernia's atmosphere, lightning flashing violently, casting stark shadows on the faces inside. The air was thick with tension, every breath measured, every eye sharp. The crew sat rigid, the weight of their fragile new alliance pressing down like the storm outside. Each flash revealed the anxious lines on Nyla's face, the steely determination in Kaelin's eyes, and the silent worry etched into Elias's jaw. Ahead lay the boundary of the Coma sector, a place spoken of only in whispers and fearful legends. To most, it was an impenetrable fortress of dark space, guarded by forces unknown and powers beyond reckoning. No outsider had ever truly crossed into Coma's depths and lived to tell the tale. And now, Nyla and her team were about to become the first. Nyla's fingers moved with steady precision over the navigation console, though her mind raced with 1,000 questions. The holographic map shimmered before her, a jagged scar of glowing blue marking the edge of Coma territory, just beyond their reach but closing fast. Kaelin's technology could turn the tide, Elias murmured from the engineering bay, eyes never leaving the complex readouts. But there's always a price with the Coma. Their deals aren't just cryptic, they're dangerous. We're walking into a spider's web. Nyla didn't flinch. We don't have the luxury of choice anymore. The Zalari Dominion is on our heels. If we don't take this gamble, every free world we know will fall. Suddenly, the calm was shattered. The ship sensors blared an urgent warning, a sharp, slicing blip that tore through the silence like a dagger. Contact. Unknown vessel, closing fast. The pilot's voice was sharp, betraying the crew's rising panic. Static crackled over the comms, then a cold, merciless voice filled the cabin. This is Commander Thalcor of the Zalari Dominion. You are trespassing in forbidden space. Surrender your ship and the Coma Alliance, or be annihilated. The words hit Nyla like a punch to the chest. Her heart hammered wildly but her voice was steady. They've found us. Evasive maneuvers, now, she commanded, spinning around to face her team. Arm all weapons. We don't fight just for ourselves, this is for every soul oppressed by Thalcor's reign. The dropship lunged into the blackness, twisting and darting like a cornered animal. Red laser fire tore through the void, slamming into the ship's hull with brutal force. The ship groaned under the barrage. Elias's fingers flew over his console. Shields at 50%. Rerouting power to rear thrusters. We're buying time, but it won't last. Nyla's eyes burned with fierce resolve. We need something drastic. Something that can blind them. With a swift motion, she activated the secret weapon, a swarm of nanite drones, glittering like metallic fireflies, flooding into the void. The drones spun and wove an intricate, shimmering veil, disrupting enemy sensors and making their ship a ghost in the storm. Drones deployed, Elias confirmed, eyes darting across the flickering readouts as the enemy's targeting systems faltered. Thalcor's pursuit wavered, his frustration palpable through the comm. You won't escape. Now! Nyla shouted. The dropship dove toward a jagged asteroid belt, plunging into a chaotic maze of floating rock and ice. Every moment was a calculated risk, one wrong move meant death. Hold tight, the pilot barked, voice taut with tension. Laser blasts bounced off jagged asteroids, lighting the void with deadly streaks of color. The dropship twisted and turned, dancing through the debris with practiced precision. Inside the ship, only the crackling of comms and pounding hearts filled the air. Suddenly, from the deepest shadows of space, alien shapes emerged, sleek ships shimmering with an ethereal glow. The Coma fleet had arrived. Kaelin's voice came calm and steady. You are not alone anymore, Nyla. Our forces will shield you. The Coma ships encircled the dropship like a protective storm, their weapons locking onto the retreating Zalari vessels with deadly precision. Thalcor's voice returned, clipped and filled with venom. This is not over. The coma will fall, and so will you. Nyla exhaled slowly, the weight of the moment settling on her shoulders. Today we crossed a line. Our war is no longer just survival, it's a fight for the future. New allies, darker enemies, and shadows waiting in the depths of coma. The dropship slid forward, toward the alien stronghold glowing in the distance, the unknown secrets of coma ready to unfold, and with them, the battles that would decide the fate of countless worlds. As the dropship climbed steadily through the fractured atmosphere, Nyla stood motionless by the viewport. The cold glass framed a sprawling cosmos glittering with distant stars, their pale light casting fragile shadows on her weary face. Each flicker of starlight seemed to echo the countless souls lost in this brutal conflict, friends, comrades, and innocents who would never see the dawn. Around her, the silence was profound. The crew, hardened by war but softened by grief, sat scattered through the cabin, each wrestling with memories that refused to fade. The hum of the engines was the only sound, a constant reminder that life, stubborn and unyielding, pressed forward despite the darkness. Kalen approached quietly, his footsteps almost reverent. Placing a firm hand on Nyla's shoulder, his voice was low but steady. "Their fire burns in us now," he said. "Not just the memory of who they were, but the hope of who we can become. Their dreams, their courage, it's our responsibility to carry them forward." Nyla's eyes met his, filled with a quiet determination that had only grown stronger through every hardship. "Every breath we take is a tribute to them," she replied, her voice thick with emotion yet unwavering. "We are the living proof that no matter how deep the shadows, the human spirit refuses to be snuffed out." Elias stepped beside them, his usual stoicism softened by a rare spark of hope. "This victory, it's more than survival," he said. "It's a promise. To ourselves, to those who gave everything, and to those who will follow in our footsteps. We will shape a future where fear no longer rules our lives." Outside, the infinite void seemed to pulse with a subtle rhythm, as if the universe itself was acknowledging their triumph, a silent applause from the cosmos. The stars, once distant and indifferent, now felt like guiding beacons, illuminating a path forward through the unknown. Nyla whispered, almost to herself, her words a solemn prayer carried on the breath of the ship. "We are more than flesh and bone. We are the unbreakable flame in this vast cosmic night, eternal and fierce." Her gaze lingered on the horizon beyond the viewport, untouched worlds, new frontiers shimmering with promise and peril alike. The road ahead was daunting, littered with unknown dangers, but also bursting with hope and possibility. In that profound moment, Nyla grasped the true meaning of humanity, not merely to survive, but to rise stronger, forged by pain, fueled by courage, and bound by love that transcends space and time. As the dropship disappeared into the embrace of the stars, she carried with her the indomitable legacy of every soul who dared to dream, to fight, and to believe. The ironclad legacy was no longer just a name, it was a living heartbeat, echoing through galaxies, an eternal reminder that humanity would never bow or break. And in that everlasting echo, their story of defiance, hope, and unyielding spirit was etched across the cosmos, an immortal testament that even in the darkest night, the light of human courage blazes on, undying, forever unextinguished.